What is up, everybody? It's Stevivor today, and we have to talk about Stevivor, this website, and how Sony fanboys are super butthurt once again. So, Stevivor, they gave their update on where their PlayStation first-party reviews are because we know the Sony blacklisted this website, and Sony fanboys rejoiced at that, saying that hey, they give Sony games too low of a score. Now, how much nonsense is that? That you want a site to be blacklisted because of their opinion of these Sony games? But apparently, if a game is not a 10 out of 10 consistently, Sony blacklists different websites. So that's some scumbag stuff right there. Not enough people talk about. Like, how is that a-okay that a website that a publisher can completely blacklist somebody? They don't give their game perfect scores. And then the fan base just goes along with it. So how can you honestly trust any of these review sites scores of these Sony games if they gotta fall in line with giving these games a perfect 10 out of 10 score? So we're just gonna look at some of these comments that Sony guys are saying about this. And they keep posting this chart of survivor scores versus Metacritic scores for these different PlayStation games, saying it's a bias because Horizon Forbidden got 65, of course, Survivor, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves 65, etc. You can see the rest. They give them they claim to be lower scores, but somebody else did some research on this. Like, this is only a skewed look of their scores they're giving out. Somebody did some research on this, and they did some more Sony games. They gave a higher score than the Metacritic score. Like, Stevivor gave the Dreams game a 90 out of 89, out of the average 89. Uncharted 40 gave it a 95 as well. So there, you can do the same skewed comparison as well. Apparently, they gave some games a higher score than the Metacritic, while Sony fanboys only want to post this nonsense where they give the games a lower score. And it's like, they're not biased. They gave some of these games a really high scores as well. So, and they gave some Xbox games really low scores as well too, but they never talk about that. They only talk about the negative scores because Sony guys cannot take criticism about their games. If you do not give their games a 10 out of 10, they will harass you and say you deserve to be blacklisted from reviewing Sony games because they're that butthurt about this nonsense. I look forward to seeing your 6.5 out of 10. Biased reviews. The ban is logical from Sony. You reap what you sow. They should have done this a long time ago. Why? Okay, so I'm just curious. So if you were a big Sony fan, why would you just want review sites just to blow smoke up your own or blow smoke up your ass? Like, why would you want that? Like, what's the purpose of that? Like, a game could be average or mediocre, but everybody else is giving a game a 10 out of 10. Like, you're just wasting your own money at the end of the day. Like, the reviews are supposed to help consumers decide on what they want to purchase or not on their purchase decisions, but they just want Sony games to get all 10s out of 10s, and it's like the game can be very mediocre. But it doesn't matter. As long as the Sony game getting a 10 it's okay with these guys. They don't give review copies if you don't give high review scores. Yeah, Sony has very evidently shown that. Sony blacklisted them for a negative review. Sony didn't blacklist them. They simply stopped sending them free review codes for consistently giving their games lower scores and bragging about lowering their average. They can still review PlayStation games and post them. They just have to buy the game at launch like everybody else. That's a blacklist. I mean, if they stop giving review codes, so people don't go to your website like they get more traffic, then it is a blacklist right there. That's like literally the definition of one. That is called blacklisted. LOL. Yeah. Translation: Sony didn't like them giving their honest review because it didn't make them look good, so no more review codes. Also, they give plenty of good reviews to PlayStation games, so you're just outright lying. Yeah. Once again, somebody did the research about Stevivor, and they give plenty of PlayStation games good review scores. Because once again, it's opinion based, but Sony guys just don't get that. They don't get that. They can give a game a good score, sometimes they give a game a bad score. They just can't wrap that around their heads. PlayStation forces people to write good reviews or else there is valid evidence and yet no one is talking about it. That's what I'm saying. This is crazy that nobody's talking about this. Literally nobody's talking about this. That these review sites have to give Sony games good scores or they get blacklisted. Like, it's just wild. You got blacklisted, that's what happened. Let me guess, all your scores for PlayStation games no more than 65 out of 100. For the gaming industry, it's a pleasure to get you out of any kind of review. PlayStation doesn't owe you review codes for their games. You can buy them at launch with everybody else and then review it. But they don't do the same thing everybody else who gives their games good review scores, though. And once again, why are we even trying to make logic out of this? These are all guys with Sony related avatars. Like, they're super biased. Stevivor is the worst Xbox shield. Yes, because they gave the game underscores. There's some Xbox shields. I mean, you aren't entitled to an early review copy of games. You just rate low anyway and then push the competitions higher. Halo Infinite at 95. Game has microtransactions, single player cut down, co-op, and Forge still not in game. 2 years later, co-op has been canceled. Sounds like the guy's just butthurt. I am so glad to hear you're not getting these codes for free. Just these codes are so weird. You're asking us if we value your reviews. I don't think anybody was even checking for them. If you're not, then why are you following their page? I'm not following the review. I don't care about their opinion, but I'm following their page though. That makes a lot of sense. For the score you gave Ghost of Tsushima, I would have sued you. Don't worry, it's a good thing you're blacklisted. Maybe you'll get review codes from other publishers. So we're just bragging about Sony just blacklisting people who don't review, who don't get their games perfect 10 out of 10s. And this is definitely the most toxic fan base by far. Jeez. I wipe my ass with your reviews. That's how useful they are. No one cares, dog. You guys have an obvious bias against PlayStation games. No one was even looking for Stevivor reviews. Meanwhile, Sony fanboys are the ones who made this like a household review site now, because nobody probably knew who Stevivor was before this. But because they were so butthurt about the reviews that they'd be giving out, they made them like a big thing on the internet now. That's understandable. Wishing you folks the best of luck. Look forward to future reviews. I may not have agreed with some of the Stevivor reviews, but the harassment is unacceptable. I think it's pretty clear why they won't send you pre-release codes for first-party games anymore, because they don't give their games 10 out of 10s. That's why. Shows how corrupt Sony PlayStation is, especially what they do reviewers like you, along with the third-party exclusivity deals, anti-consumer, and keeping games off of Xbox. PlayStation is really afraid to compete. I'm just saying. Well deserved. Stevivor has a vendetta against PlayStation. Hope you get blacklisted forever. Look, the thought of salt and burn is jeez. It's just so much butthurtness. Just looking at all these tweets, it's just so much butthurtness. Jeez. Imagine being such a bad reviewer you can't even get review codes. Sony did the right thing. You don't even deserve a demo, you fanboys. Someone give me a bad review and I execute them. Okay. You got blacklisted by Sony. This means you have to wait for release and pay full price before you trash the games. And I like once again, let's see how they're just trashing the games. A 65 is still above average. 65 is above average. 75 is above average. 80 is almost, that's way above average. So what games are they really trashing? They're just giving these horrible scores. So they just send us above average but not perfect. So really? Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna conclude it right here. We get the gist. These Sony guys are super butthurt about this. They're already just harassing and trolling this website at this point, and they're just so butthurt that how dare somebody give these Sony games a non-10 out of 10 score? How dare you? You deserve to be blacklisted. You deserve to have to pay full price, and people gotta wait for your review to come out once you beat the game days after the other review sites give their review score. So I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty corrupt that Sony just blacklists certain websites that don't give their games perfect tens. I think that's some shady stuff that nobody else is talking about. I don't know why nobody else talks about this, but I think it's a pretty big issue. It's like you want to see people's honest reviews, but all these big name websites just keep giving Sony games 10 out of 10. And it's like we wonder why. I was like, these places like those who give the honest scores are just getting blacklisted. It's a true shame, but I guess it is what it is at this point. But I'm going to conclude it right here. Definitely see your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you like this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.